Alright, y'all. So today we got another video. This one is gonna be the root cause of the diaspora wars, TikTok diaspora wars. Uh, the diaspora war, in short terms, is basically like the in this case, is the situation that African Americans have with Africans. You feel me? In terms of uh our feelings towards each other based on our lineage, you know what I'm saying? Black Americans, we've been here for it's so messy over here. Niggas, we can't even really explain too much. We got Native Americans, then we got the Africans that was brought over here, you feel me? So then it's like niggas been mixing up for all those years, you know what I'm saying? And then you got the Africans that are over in Africa right now, you know what I'm saying? And with the technological advancements we've been making, you know what I'm saying, over the recent past, it's a lot easier for us to communicate, you know what I'm saying, on like a regular, you know what I'm saying, with ease, you feel me? So people on social media giving their commentary and feelings on certain things, and certain racist feelings are being exposed about how they feel about each other. So we're gonna get into this video and get down to the root cause of this. See where this thing might have started, and see why it's going on, and see what we may be able to do to come to terms with it, and you know what I'm saying, be at peace. So let's get right into it.
We're going to be talking about the diaspora that's been going on TikTok. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I'll basically leave a couple of clips maybe before or during the video.
Why are y'all using our culture to disrespect us? I want to know where the disrespect is. I see up and down my For You
that we made popular. Only when we got on.
There's so many things with this, like, wrong with this
Just all shut the fuck up and end this
diaspora bullshit. It's dumb as fuck.
So I totally agree with you that the diaspora war is really stupid. But I also
I also want to go ahead and add my 2 cents real quick. I do believe the diaspora wars is like stupid. I feel like racism is stupid. I feel like a lot of this shit is stupid, but especially this diaspora war shit. Like, nigga, if you from Africa and we African Americans over here, or blacks, or whatever we call it, they call us all type of shit, Negroes, fucking. You know what I'm saying? The technical term always changing, but we essentially the same people essentially, or very close relatives. You feel me? At the end of the day, we all black.
believe that this video is very condescending and is downplaying the African experience in America.
Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I did have my experiences of being called the you know what, African booty scratcher. I've had my negative experiences with African.
Bro, he talking about they did call me African booty scratcher or whatever. You feel me? What the fuck? And then he posted a definition, bro. What is the definition, bro? African booty scratcher. A simple crack with no literal definition. Its merits are only how funny and stupid it sounds. And there is no comeback after you have been called an African booty scratcher. Just walk away and live another day. And your mama got big ass lips, you African booty scratcher, bruh. That is hilarious, bruh. Cause it kind of don't. I mean, it do have a comeback, but like the shit is, the term sounds so silly. Just
My
when
negative
it comes out, it's like, bruh, like you don't even want to respond to that. You feel me?
experiences with African Americans, but I also had some positive experiences, and so I sort of want to get
Uh, well, that is a black people term, so it would be a black person calling him that. You feel me? If a white person called this man an African booty scratcher, yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I don't even see how I could think it was another race. So basically, this is an African young man. He's speaking on situations that he may have had with African American people in America, from America. So he's gonna be able to give a little more insight on it, because in my personal experience, like, Africans always been cool. now that I'm thinking back, like Africans in school, they fucked it with the black people, but for the most part, I think they fucked it with each other more so. So
Get into depth about why our relationship is the way it is, how we describe our odd relationship. So I basically, after seeing all this drama going on TikTok, I went and I looked up the relationship. I went typed it in Google and I came across a paper called Examining the Social Distance Between Africans and African Americans, the Role of Internalized Racism. And what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is how this paper specifically gets into the psychological effects of racism and why our odd relationship is the way that it is, mainly because of white supremacy. Taking a look into this reading, it says here separate focus groups were considered with African American and African participants in an effort to better understand the nature of the relationship between both groups. During focus groups, the origins of prejudice and stereotypes about both groups were discussed, and ways of ameliorating existing social distance was explored. Participants also completed the modified nationalization inventory, an internalized racism skill that measures the presence of racist beliefs. Later on in this study, they come to the conclusion that the amount of racist beliefs, the presence of racist beliefs, is something of the responsibility and delivery of white supremacy. So, white supremacy and racism is part of the reason why people hold such racist beliefs against each other. And it's associated with stereotypes. So, things like African Americans being lazy and Africans being barbaric people who live in huts and etc. Looking further into the paper, it gives more in detail about the psychological effects of racism and white supremacy, especially on those of black or African populations who are usually the ones most targeted. So here it says, both slavery and colonization are based upon oppressive strategies that denied Africans the opportunity to maintain a psychological integrity related to their cultural foundations. As such, one of the worst impacts of slavery and the social construction, which is colonialism, the psychological impact on the oppressed. It is hypothesized by several authors that one of the remnants of colonialism and slavery evident in the end of colonial rule is a kind of self-loathing and dual consciousness, or a kind of self not self persona, especially among African Americans. Later on, it also says that even Africans who have had similar experiences of white domination that African Americans have faced also have this sort of self not self persona. This sort of self not self persona can be seen when Africans and African Americans don't want to be associated with each other. When African Americans say that, oh, I'm not African, I'm from here. Africans don't want to be associated with African Americans because of the stereotypes of what African Americans have been shown to be in the Western world. Psychological.
that's kind of understandable because like it's not like he's saying one doesn't want to be the other. He's saying both doesn't want to be each other. Like African Americans from here don't want to be like Africans because of stereotypes that have been portrayed on television shows and movies and stuff like that, and what they taught us back in the day in school about how Africans were living in those commercials we used to see when they're like trying to get people to donate money, which they probably didn't give to those people. So we see that we see those things on TV and feel like people are over there starving, but there's a lot of beautiful, flourishing places that are in Africa, and they try to take these bits and pieces of it and try to make it seem a certain way to where you wouldn't even want to associate yourself with that, even though you are black and you may have lineage coming back from there if you're not like a full Native American. You feel me? And then on the other hand, Africans don't want to be associated with us over here because of the way that we're portrayed over here on our own land. You feel me? On television and things like that. Exactly like you know what I'm saying, flip flop the other way, the same way that they see we seeing things on TV shows and on those commercials, they see things in the media and stuff like that about black people that make them not want to associate with us. Like they said, we're portrayed as being lazy and barbaric and whatnot, but when you really look at it, it's a lot of really successful, wealthy black people that live in America as well. You feel me? So um, I'm not sure how much white supremacy has to do with it. I mean, the white supremacist messages that appear on TV. Um, Basically, the way that each of our races are portrayed, or either each of our ethnicities are portrayed on TV, makes us not want to associate with one another, even though we are technically, you know what I'm saying, the same people. We come from the same people. So it's a really messy thing.
Psychological effects. It says perceived racism and internalized racism may evoke psychological stress responses such as anger, paranoia, anxiety, helplessness, hopelessness, frustration, resentment, and fear. Further on, it reads, this describes an individual who may see no way of escaping the situation and thus seeks no relief for himself or herself, thereby developing a form of learned helplessness.
That's deep.
Again, later on in this paper, they start talking about coping styles and how Africans and African Americans sort of deal with all of this psychological trauma, whatever you want to call it, of racism and white supremacy, and all that stuff, man. And it's some of the coping styles are some unhonorable coping styles, such as us simply just attacking each other with stereotypes of each other, which is really what it is. We're both trying to avoid stereotypes of each other on both sides. African Americans want to avoid the stereotype of the poor African who has no water.
Like I just said, like I just said, those commercials that you would see, you know what I'm saying, asking for donations for uh these kids, that would be essentially the 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 product in the eyes of the people um who are funding like those commercials to get people to send in all those donations, where they were uh I don't have any like proof of it, but I've heard uh, instances where people were saying that they really didn't give those people all of their donations. Like they would keep majority of it and like just give them bullshit. You feel me, to survive. But just like I said, you know what I'm saying, the way that they're portrayed to us makes us not want to be associated with it. That's why the African booty scratcher term even exists, because if the African ethnicity wasn't something that was to be made fun of, but was something to be revered and respected, like that term wouldn't even exist. You feel me?
You know what I'm saying, who lives in huts, and Africans want to avoid the stereotype of African Americans of being lazy, being on the streets, and all that stuff. That's mainly what it comes down to, man. And when African Americans
Them facts though. I don't be seeing no Africans in the streets. You know they be saying like Africans be scamming and shit like that. That's not really some street shit. That's really like some white collar crime type shit, like scamming. You feel me? But that's another thing. You really don't be seeing Africans in the streets, but you see all the young black niggas just dying to be in the streets. You feel me?
and Africans disrespect
Well, not all of them, but majority these days. Like the way that is gangsterism is glorified in rap. Like it's not surprising that young guys around the age of like 13 to their late teens are wanting to chase that type of persona and personality in order to fit in the culture in certain ways. So
each other and come at each other. Do this. They always attack each other with stereotypes. As an African, I've been attached with lots of stereotypes by African Americans. You know what I mean? And I've also heard African parents. It's mainly African parents who've done it. If you're African first generation, you know that sort of attach African Americans to the stereotypes. This is not done because people are bad people Like, you know what I mean? It's really just you are misinformed and you don't really know what it's like being around people. It's the media, it's propaganda, and that's all you really shown. Now, speaking more from personal experience, I do want to say that when Africans tell African Americans that we have been sort of bullied, you know what I'm saying? And not even just bullied, like a lot of African Americans, when they talk about this in the TikTok platform, a lot of people, a lot of African Americans that I was seeing on TikTok who are participating within this diaspora war, they were gaslighting a lot of Africans in our experiences, and I didn't really appreciate that. So I made a video basically the same exact thing as this, and sort of I addressed like, yeah, the gaslighting needs to stop, because the same way African Americans wouldn't want me gaslighting them and sort of ignoring any negative experiences they may have had with Africans. You know what I'm saying? I would appreciate it if they could also, not gaslight us. You know what I'm saying? Because certain people disrespect us by telling us that, oh, you were only called an African booty scratcher. You were only called an African booty scratcher. It's just a middle school joke. Like, get over it. But it gets a lot deeper than that. And honestly, as personally, I've been through experiences that are way more deeper than just a joke in the classroom. You know what I mean? Like, and I've even seen African Americans claim that they've been called African booty scratchers as well. Now,
It's true. We was. You feel me? Like that's what I'm saying. Like if by the way Africa is portrayed, it makes people feel, you know what I'm saying, feel these feelings, which makes it okay for them to like make fun of Africa. That's just what it is. It's been like that since I was young. You feel me? People feeling like they could do that. So the African booty scratcher, the African booty scratcher term has been around for a long time, like since I was a child, like elementary school type shit. Like it been since back then. Like I've been called that before. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like so, I guess being African and being called that, you'll feel a little more hit by it by the simple fact that you are actually an African person. You feel me? But we African Americans call each other that shit too. You feel me? So you know what I'm saying? Don't take it too personal. You feel me?
personal opinion might not even matter for the video, but what I will say, I won't disrespect or disregard anybody's experiences, but I will say, as a community, as a race, as a people, we do need to get better. You know what I'm saying, and sort of stop associating each other with stereotypes. You know what I'm saying, and sort of work to heal this and create black domination. You know what I'm saying.
Mm,
Let's take
mm,
ourselves to the top of the food chain
mm.
again. Let's run this stuff again. With that being said, guys, if you guys
Wait.
like this video, definitely leave a like. If you're African or African American, you want to talk about your experiences, be sure to share them in the comment section. I'll be very interested to read and learn more about them, especially on the African American side. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what you guys experienced from Africans. You know what I'm saying? Let me educate me on how it's like. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys feel gaslighters as well, let me know. You know what I'm saying? You can also join my server at the Nile Valley Elite, where you can learn about Sudanese history. You can subscribe to the channel where you can get talks like this for, self improvement for black men and history lessons. So with that being said, guys, we out.
That's what's up though. That was a good video. I understand everything that he was saying. Like based on the stereotypes of what we've been taught over the years, you know what I'm saying, from media, from TV shows, movies, you know what I mean? All of these different things that program us over time, you know what I'm saying, and put these ideas in our subconscious makes us feel a certain way about our own brother. To be real with you, about our own brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? And it just causes a
Once
divide in
we
us. It causes a divide between all of us, you know what I'm saying, collectively as minorities, especially darker minorities, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm light skinned, you feel me? I'm still black 100%, you feel me? I'm not like no mulatto or no shit. I got Native American in my family, but I'm pretty sure there's some African in there, you feel me? So it's like we all need to, like he said, stop portraying each other to be these stereotypes that we've been taught. You feel me? And even ourselves not feed into the stereotypes, so that we can create a new narrative for ourselves uh, and come into a newfound respect for ourselves and others that look like us, so that these different stereotypes can really just die off. You feel me? Because as long as we're feeding into them, these different things like racism and these diaspora wars and these different stereotypes will essentially be be used against us by us. You feel me? So we gotta just let all that shit go, so we can start using these different things against each other psychologically. You feel me? And just be able to come together, like, and it be a normal thing. You feel me? Like if African Americans and Africans was to come together, like especially in the U.S. where we got so much freedom to do different business ventures and things of that nature. You feel me? We could really make a lot of money together, make a lot of moves together. You know what I'm saying? Create our own, really our own culture. You feel me? Over here in the states. So that's really all I got to say about that. That was a good video though. That was a good video though.